I have to do a rebuttal video on this topic of sexual intimacy on the Shabbat because not many people were understanding my first video. The rabbis appear to say no. So in the Talmud, we read the Gemara explains the next listed ordinance and that one should eat garlic Shabbat Eve. This is due to the fact that garlic enhances sexual potency and Friday night is an appropriate time for conjugal relations. There is another part in the Talmud where it states that the most appropriate time for a Torah scholar to fulfill their conjugal obligations would be on the Sabbath. You see, the reason I brought forth the extra biblical text first is because I wanted to show you that we're not supposed to treat them or the sages in any way, shape, or form as something authoritative. And you look at Jubilees, it mandates the death penalty for those who have relations on Shabbat. Why? Because a lot of these people that are turning it into a ritual purity issue don't understand that the initial intention was to prohibit it because it was viewed as a, quote, act of work. You're essentially working on Shabbat by having intimacy on Shabbat, or in other words, getting in your cardio for the day. Of course, this is another incorrect view because when people take Isaiah 58 and abuse the word pleasure to mean, sexual pleasure, the Hebrew word actually would be better translated in those verses as business. Abstain from doing your business on the Shabbat. Don't trade with people. Don't buy or sell on Shabbat because you're making another person within your community work. In Nehemiah, there's a perfect example of Nehemiah wanting the gates shut and getting angry with the traders who were outside the gates of Jerusalem because they were wanting to come in and barter with the people. And that's just not what Yahweh expects when it comes to the Shabbat. If Nehemiah had said, yes, let's open the gates, that would have been a perfect example of doing your pleasure, or doing his pleasure on the Shabbat. A lot of people will also abuse Exodus chapter 19 and verse 15 where it says, and Moses said to the people, be ready for the third day, do not come near your wives. But people miss the crucial context in verse 11. It says, and let them, that's the congregation of Israel, be ready for the third day. And on the third day, Yahweh will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. We have to be mindful that this is a context-specific set of verses where the people of Israel would just have to be ritually impure for the manifestation of Yahweh to be on the mountain. And I'm calling you out, Sean Griffin. You're teaching that Leviticus 15, because of its laws about ritual purity, prohibit intimacy on the Shabbat. That is incorrect. One of your underlying assumptions in saying this is that the Israelites were mandated to appear at the temple on Shabbat. And let's say even if that were the case, even if the Torah did say something like that, or if a man just did have a duty to appear on the Sabbath for whatever reason, even though it's not explicitly stated in the Torah, why couldn't he go back home and take care of business, if you know what I mean, after the fact? If the Jubilees text was about ritual purity or temple purity, it would not make sense as written. I've made my case.